When people spoke of Tunde Adebaya, they never spoke quietly. He was the kind of wealthy that made people lower their voices without realizing it. The owner of shipping companies, hotels, and half the land along the lagoon in Lagos. His cars moved like a procession. His suits were sewn in London. His name opened doors that did not open for ordinary men. And yet, everyone also knew something else about him. Tunde Adebayo loved women. Not discreetly, not occasionally, recklessly, habitually, as if loyalty were a language he had never learned. His wife, Amara, knew too, or at least everyone assumed she must. Women would come to her, friends, distant cousins, even strangers who claimed concern. "I saw your husband with a girl in Victoria Island," one would whisper. Another would shake her head in pity. "Amara, you are too good for this." Amara would only laugh softly, the sound light as wind chimes. "It is me he chose," she would say. "He comes home to me, doesn't he?" And she would pour tea, change the subject, and smile as though nothing in the world could trouble her. People called her foolish, but Amara never argued. Their marriage, strangely, was not cold. Tunde adored her in his own flawed way. He brought her gifts from Paris, watched old films with her late into the night, rested his head in her lap when business weighed on him. With Amara, he was gentle, almost boyish. Sometimes she would look at him in those quiet moments and think, if only you could be this man all the time. But she never said it aloud. 2 years into their marriage, Amara became pregnant. The house filled with celebration. Her mother travelled from Enugu. Tunde cancelled meetings just to sit beside her, resting his hand on her growing belly, as if afraid the child might disappear. "You've given me everything," he told her one evening, his voice thick with emotion. Amara only smiled. It was during a routine antenatal visit that everything changed. The hospital room was white and silent. The doctor's voice was careful, too careful. "Mrs. Adebayo, your test results have come back." Amara noticed the way the woman avoided her eyes. "You are HIV positive." The words did not seem real at first. They floated in the air, meaningless. There must be a mistake," Amara said calmly. "We repeated the test," the doctor replied gently. The room felt suddenly cold. Amara sat very still. Her mind moved slowly, like someone walking through deep water. There was only one way, only one person. When they returned home, Tunde was in the living room, laughing into his phone. He looked up, saw her face, and the laughter died instantly. "What happened?" Amara placed the test results on the table. He read them, and the world seemed to collapse inside his eyes. At first, he denied it. Then he sat down, his hands trembling. Finally, in a broken whisper, he said, "I didn't know. I swear to you, Amara, I didn't know." She stood there, watching him, feeling something inside her quietly breaking. Not violently, not loudly, but like glass cracking in slow motion. All those laughs, all those dismissals, all those times she had defended him without words. And this was the reward. "My child," she said softly, one hand on her stomach. Tunde fell to his knees. "I'm sorry," he said, over and over, as if the words could undo time. But some things, once broken, never returned to what they were. The months that followed were quiet. Tunde changed. He stopped going out at night, stopped answering certain calls, sold one of his clubs. He attended every hospital appointment, sat beside Amara in silence, read everything he could about treatment, about prevention, about living with HIV. But remorse is a poor substitute for trust. Amara was polite, calm, distant. Sometimes he would look at her and realize she had built a wall he could not see over. Their child, a healthy baby girl, was born HIV negative. It was the first time Amara cried in months, holding the baby, tears running freely down her face, relief washing over her like rain after drought. Tunde stood beside her, crying too. For a moment, they were united again. Not as husband and wife, but as two fragile human beings grateful for a miracle. A year later, Amara made an announcement. She was opening a foundation, a large treatment and education centre for women living with HIV. Tunde funded it without hesitation. At the opening ceremony, journalists gathered, cameras flashing. One reporter asked, "Mrs. Adibayo, what inspired this work?" Amara paused. Then she said quietly, "I have known the pain of this illness longer than people realise." That evening, as the sun set behind the city, Tunde asked her what she meant. Amara looked at him for a long time. "My younger sister," she said, "died of AIDS 10 years ago." Tunde stared at her, stunned. "I watched her fade," Amara continued. "We had no money for proper treatment. I held her hand when she died." She turned to him, her eyes steady. "That is why I married you, Tunde." The words struck him like a blow. "At first," she said, "at first it was not love. It was purpose. I needed power, resources, a way to fight what killed her." Tunde felt the ground shift beneath him. "But somewhere along the way," she added, her voice softer, "I did begin to love you. The man you could be. The man you sometimes were." Silence filled the room. "And now?" he asked. Amara looked out the window, where the lights of the city flickered like distant stars. "Now," she said, "we are both paying the price for the choices we made." Years passed. The foundation grew into one of the largest treatment centres in West Africa. Thousands of women received care there. Children ran in its courtyards, alive. Tunde worked there too, not as a magnate, but as a volunteer, quietly overseeing logistics, funding outreach, speaking to young men about responsibility and consequences. People who once envied him now spoke of him differently. A man can be broken and rebuilt. One evening, long after the crowds had gone, Tunde found Amara sitting alone in the garden of the centre. "You never left me," he said. Amara smiled faintly. "I did leave," she replied. "Just not physically. I left the life we had and built another." He nodded, understanding. They sat in silence, watching their daughter chase fireflies across the grass. Not the passionate love of their early years, not the careless ease of before, but something quieter, deeper, forged in pain and forgiveness. And in that silence, they were no longer the foolish wife and the unfaithful husband. They were simply two people, wounded and changed, learning, slowly, how to live again.